All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say a big welcome to all of you. It's been a pleasure having all of you here. And today we want to look at a real-life application of linear programming problem. Real life. This is something that can happen in real life. So I need somebody who will do the reading slowly for us. Slowly. Who will do the reading slowly? Juliet, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening.
Evening.
So, US dollars.
Start.
An investment problem. 70,000 US dollars. Benua Do, an individual investor, has 70,000 US dollars to divide among several investments. The alternative investments are municipal bonds, MB with an 8.5% annual return, certificates of deposit, CDs with a 5% return, Treasury bills, TB, with a 6.5% return, and a growth stock fund, GS, with a 13% annual return. The investments are evaluated after 1 year, but each investment has a different perceived risk to the investor, so it is advisable to diversify. Amma wants to know how much to invest in each alternative in order to maximize the return. The following guidelines have been established to diversify the investments and lessen the risk perceived by the investor. No more than 20% of the total investment should be in municipal bonds. The amount invested in certificates of deposit should not exceed the amount invested in the other three alternatives. Next slide, please. Okay. At least 30% of the investment should be in treasury bills and certificates of deposit. To be safe, more should be invested in certificates of deposit and treasury bills than in municipal bonds and the growth stock fund by a ratio of at least 1.2 to 1. Amma wants to invest the entire 70,000 US dollars. What are the decision variables? That's the question.
So that's the first thing. But before we discuss what are the decision variables, there is something you need to note, that sometimes the linear programming fits into your area. Maybe you are somebody in the area of HR, it will fit there. It will help you, man. You will be able to gargantually, nicely work out because it fits into your area. This one fits into those who are in the areas of finance and investment. Sometimes it falls into agriculture. Sometimes it's about business. Sometimes it's about accounting. Sometimes it's about marketing. Sometimes it's about advertisement. It's about soccer. It's about electricals. It's about health and so many things. But please know that even if it falls within your area, it doesn't mean you can do it, because it's knowledge that is needed that multiplies all other assets. So let me ask some few things to be sure that we're on the right track. The question says, what are the decision variables? You see, don't tell me because you've learned it, but tell me because you are teaching it. What is Amma supposed to decide on? That's what I mean. And remember, it's always the decision variables that we normally use to judge, the X1, the X2, the X3. Eric.
Yeah, so Doc, Amma is supposed to decide on making investment in MB, CD, TD, and then GS.
Okay, so what are the decision variables here?
So the decision variables are the municipal bond, which is
No,
the
you
MB.
can't say that. You remember one of our definition of decision variable is that it should always come with the unit of measurement.
Okay, so the percent, okay.
Don't say okay and leave it. Tell me, what are the decision variables?
The percentage of investment in MB, the percentage of investment in CD, the percentage of investment in treasury bills, and the percentage of investment in the growth stock fund.
Okay, that is not correct. Let's go to another person. What are the decision variables taking into consideration what we have in our life here? Ivan.
So the decision variables are the amount or how much to invest in MB.
Good. Let's stop there.
Okay.
So guys, Amma has $70,000. That's what she has. She's now thinking, how much of this $70,000 I got to put into these municipal bonds? So if we are talking about the decision variables, it becomes X1 is, say it again. Divine, say it again.
Amount to invest in MB.
Guys, you have to write it because it's language. If you don't write it, you don't get it. So that is the amount, not the percentage. She doesn't even know the percentage, but the amount, because she has the amount. She has 70,000. How much should that go into this, go into that? And what is the reason why she has to make that decision? Who can tell me? Why should Amma decide how much should go into each one of these? And you know.
Yes, sir, to maximize the return gained.
No, not really. Why should Amma make that decision of how much to invest in what? Why should she make Akrofi? Guys, wake up, wake up.
So she wants to diversify her investment so that there will not be a loss at one end only and just everything is gone.
Excellent, excellent. You see, the question was very clear because there are some risk. And you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket of municipal bonds. Neither do you want to put all your eggs in one basket of growth stock fund. So she has to diversify. That's why she has to know how much to input into what. So when you write it like this, you have to supposed to indicate that amount. This, by the way, is an exam question. If you're sitting here and you're probably realizing, could I have remembered to write this? Each one is worth 1 mark. Okay, so X1 is amount to invest in MB. What is X for? Who can tell me? What is X for? X for? Fossey.
Doc, the amount to invest in JS.
Good. Please, if it is an exam, you don't write JS, MB, TB for me.
Oh, yeah.
Good. So you have to mention the full name. Fantastic.
The amount to invest in good stock fund.
Perfect, perfect. So that is what we mean by the decision variables. Okay? So guys, if you are here and you don't understand what the decision variable is in connection with this, okay, you have to raise your hand and indicate it. Okay. The key word is the amount. Amount. No. And smart students can say that, oh, because they are all going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me represent each one of them with I and say that let Xi, where I is 1, 2, 3, and 4, be the amount to invest in each of the investment opportunities. Okay. That's what a very smart guy would do. Okay. Once you have the objective, you have the decision variables, you should know the objective function. But first of all, what is objective? Look at it. What is objective here? What is the objective of AMA? Also,
So I think it's to maximize return.
good. That's perfect. That's clear. It was evident from the story here, right here. You want to maximize returns. Okay, now, in order to maximize returns, AMA needs to do something with these amounts. So who can tell me the return from municipal bond to be what? The return from just municipal bonds is supposed to be what? What will be the return from municipal bonds? Because your understanding here will help you to document it. Someone, what is the return from municipal bonds?
It's 8.5%, but that's 0.085 x1.
0.085 x1. Excellent. So this is amount. So first of all, what is the difference between the 0.85 and then the x1? Who can tell me? What is the difference between the 0.0? So he says 0.085 x1. And he said that this whole thing here is a return for municipal bonds. So what is the difference between the 0.085 and the x1? That's my question. I'm breaking things down for you, man. I'm breaking it down, Hubert. Tell me.
So the 0.085 is the coefficient, and then the 0.085x is the total profit on X. Total returns on X amount that she would invest.
Okay, so the first one, the 0.085, you use a very technical word, which is a linear programming word. You said is coefficient. What is another name you can call it in the practical world? What is that? Salasi. Akrofi.
Is a unit return.
Is a what?
Unit return.
Okay. In a practical world, we don't call it that way. In a practical world, we call it the interest rate. Is the interest rate?
Yes, it's true.
So that is the interest rate on the municipal bond. And then when you multiply the interest rate by the amount you invested, then you will know the returns you had, which is what he said. Okay, so on the basis of this, let's go to the question. Who can tell us the Zmax, the objective function? Who can tell us the Zmax, the objective function? Who can raise a hand and tell us the Zmax or the objective function? Guys, you got to participate. I'm not recording for a joke. Okay? Behind the scenes after the recording, there's a lot I do with those that are talking. Okay, Isaac, what is the objective function?
Okay, so Doc, the Zmax will be equal to 0.085 x1.
Guys, all of you should write it down. If you are not writing it down, you are in trouble.
Plus 0.05 x2. Plus 0.065 x3. Then plus 0.13 x4.
Excellent. So this is the objective function, guys. Write it down. When you start writing it down, there is an information symmetry, okay, that transmits from your fingers into your brain. And therefore, your brain is able to activate dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. Your brain muscles are reactivated. The molecular defenses are energized. Your mental gymnastics are risen to the highest apogee. Okay? You got to document these things down. You got to, because it helps your brain to function better. This is objective function. By the time we get to know how much AMA invested, okay, by the time you get to know how much AMA was actually able to invest in municipal bonds, invest in certificate of deposit, invest in treasury bills and growth stock fund. Once we know that, we will know her total returns on the investment. Fantastic. Now, let's now go to the deeper part. Please, you see, the essence of this thing is your capacity to model, formulate the model. If you can formulate any linear programming model, you are in good shape. That's a capacity. That's what you want to take note of. So let's go to the next thing. Now we are done with the objective function. We are now left with the constraints. So before we talk about the constraints, there are a few things I want you to take note of. It's about some English language words that you're supposed to critically take note. What symbol is that which I have highlighted? What symbol have I highlighted there? What symbol is that? Be careful. Juliet.
Please say it's less than or equal to.
Okay, now keep that in mind. What, Juliet, still on you. What is the opposite of that less than or equal to? What is the opposite of that?
Greater than or equal to.
Okay. Greater than or equal to. That is wrong.
Yeah.
What is the opposite of less? And don't speak again. What is the opposite of less than or equal to? Samuel.
Pardon?
Samuel.
Look, it's greater than.
Why?
Because less than or equal to would include the number that is in question, but greater than wouldn't include it.
Perfect. So guys, less than or equal to, its opposite is not greater than or equal to. This is mathematics. This is not grammar. So take note of that. And then, of course, the opposite of greater or equal to is less than, and the opposite of not equal to is equal to. Keep note of these. Now, I'm going to mention some words here. And when I mention the words, yours is to tell me which of the above symbols it represents. So you have to tell me whether it is representing less than or equal to, greater than, or greater or equal to, or less than, or equal to, or not equal to. So first, let's go with the easier one. What symbol is greater than? I think that one is obvious. Greater than, Mavis.
So greater than is how do
Don't
I
complicate life for yourself. What symbol is greater than?
So please, the one, so less than or equal to or greater.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I needed a simple answer. I even said that this one is self-explanatory, so we don't even need details. If you are following me, yes, divine.
Greater than.
It's greater than. Greater than is greater than. Okay, let's move on. Look, take your pen and paper and document these things. Write them down. Write them down. Write them down. Okay, next one. What symbol is not equal to? Can tell me. Not equal to. Quickly. Quickly. Eric.
Doc is the last symbol, which is not equal to.
Okay, not equal to is not equal to. What symbol is below? Below. Symbol is below. Be careful. Zakia.
Sir, please, less than.
It's less than, correct. Zakia, we are now in your world. What symbol is beyond?
Beyond.
Please, I didn't ask you, Zakia, again. When you finish, you lower your mouth. You see, this one is falling into your area. So you want to say everything. What symbol is beyond? Yvonne. Yvonne, what is beyond? Below?
Hello. Greater than.
Greater than. What symbol is not fewer than? Now let's see those who are getting smarter. What symbol is not fewer than? Be careful. Don't, if you're going to do lottery, stop. Because Clementine.
Greater than or equal to.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Not fewer than. It means it could be the number, or it could be the number and not be less than the number.
You, the explanation you give yourself, do you understand yourself?
Yes. It means if you have 2, what you are choosing should not be more than 2, but can be equal to 2.
If I tell you that what you are saying, you are confusing yourself, and this is why you're confusing yourself. You tell me this. What is not fewer than? Clementine.
Not fewer than. It means the same thing.
It means the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that same thing?
That the same thing means.
So guys, take note of something
equal to.
here. What I want you guys to take note is that always ignore this not whenever you are dealing with anything. And ask yourself, what is the symbol for fewer than? Always ignore the not. The symbol for fewer than is less than. So the first not is the opposite of the less than. The second not is the opposite of that symbol. Of course, the opposite of less than is greater or equal to. Okay, so the second one will be opposite of greater or equal to, which is back to less than. Then the third one becomes the opposite of this one, greater or equal to, which is less than again. So you always use the not to indicate the opposite. I want you to please take note of this. This is critical. Let's move on. What symbol is the same as? What is the same as? The same as. If you don't know, please lower your hands. The same as. Lower your hands if you don't know. Sandra.
Equal to.
Good. What is not above? What is not above? Not above. Elizabeth.
Not equal to.
Not equal to. Are you sure?
Yes, please.
You are very wrong. And you're saying yes, please. Because you are guessing. What symbol is not above? Who can tell me? Gideon. Gambra.
Yes, less than or equal to.
It's less than or equal to. That's correct. Okay. Write it down. You don't know. The person has said it. You got to document it. What symbol is better than? What symbol is better than? Claudia. Better than. Kevin.
Sir, greater than.
Sir, oh, there's another Kelvin.
Sir, I'm also Kevin, please.
What symbol is worse than? What symbol is worse than? Juliet. What symbol is worse than? Juliet. But she's not. Lower your hands if you're not ready to answer, please. And your name,
Okay,
what is
please.
less than? What is worse than?
Less than.
Okay. What symbol is at least? At all. At least.
Doc, that's greater than or equal to.
Greater or equal to, correct. Guys, put it down, put it down, put it down. What is at most? Cadmiel. At most.
Greater than.
What is not at least? The moment you hear the thing and you don't know, put your hand down. Sarah, what is not at least?
Less than.
Less than, correct. What is not younger than? Not younger than. Emmanuel. Sorry?
Less than.
Emmanuel.
Less than.
The way you are even shaking shows that you are going to actually hit the wall. Less than. Papa Ima, not younger than is not less than. That's not correct. What is not younger than? Adams.
Greater than or equal to.
Greater or equal to is correct. What is above? What is above? Hubert.
Greater than.
What is not different from? Stella. Not different from. Not different from. Veronica, what is not different from?
Equal to.
Equal to. What is differs from? Akuya Japan. Differs from.
Not equal to.
Okay. Guys, you got to know this. Now that you've learned them, and I hope you are writing them. You're writing them. You are writing them. Now let's move on to our story. Let's go and formulate the first diversification constraint. And here was the constraint. Look at it. It was given in the story. It says that no more than 20% of the total investment should be in municipal bonds. No more than 20% of the total investment should be in municipal bonds. Vivian, I'll ask you some questions, Vivian. Or she just raised her hand. Let me lower her hand. Those of you I made you co-host, you don't lower people's sound, you don't mute people. I don't know why you're a co-host means you're supposed to mute everybody until I call the person. What does no more than mean? Let's deal with that first. What is no more than? What is no more than? What symbol is that? No more than, Eric.
That's less than or equal to.
Okay, so first we know no more than is less or equal to. Now the second part of the question says total investment. What is the total investment? What is the total investment? How much is the total investment? Yvonne. Selassie. Let's mute Yvonne. Selassie.
70,000.
70,000. Good. So now we have 70,000 as the total investment. The question says no more than 20% of that total investment should be in municipal bonds. What symbol is municipal bonds? What symbol is that? X what? Adams. X what? Forcing. Stella. S what?
S1. S1.
Guys, your hand must be in the opening. When you raise your hand, you must be ready to talk. Okay, we are moving at a faster speed. Okay, so now it's X1. Because it's X1, you got to move on the left-hand side. Okay. Now you have to calculate 20% of the total investment. How much is the 20% of total investment? Raise your hand. How much is the 20% of total investment? Guys, you got to move with me. Selassie. Selassie.
14,000.
14,000. Now that 14,000 should be on the right-hand side. So you got to write a 14,000. So 14,000. And we are saying that no more than 20% of the investment should be in other words, we are expecting that the value of the municipal bond should be 14,000 or less. That's what it means. So X1. That's the first constraint. That is the first constraint. X1 should be less than or equal to 14,000. It should not get more than 14,000 of the 70,000 into the municipal bonds. This is the first diversification constraint. Who's not clear? You're not clear, let me know. Good. Let's go to the next one. Next one says, the amount invested in certificate of deposit should not exceed the amount invested in the other three alternatives. What symbol is certificate of deposit? What symbol is certificate of deposit? Aprofi.
S2.
S2. So keep that in mind. Please. Okay. And then it says should not exceed. The question you got to ask yourself is what symbol is should not exceed? What symbol is should not exceed? And then the amount invested in the other three alternatives. Who can formulate this whole constraint for us? All of it. And of course, I'm going to be asking you a question. You got to explain it. Who can formulate all these constraints for us? Capacity, ability, internal will, internal power. You were created in the image of a creator. The creativity of his creation is creative. You got to see yourself as a champion because in the mirror of the image, you are his image. So if he looks into the mirror, he sees you. So do not belittle who you are because what you are is your nature and who you are is your manifestation. Come on, give it to me, Isaac.
Okay, Doc. So it's going to be x2.
X2.
Yes, is less than or is equal to.
Why is it less than or equal to?
Because it says should not exceed.
Mm-hmm. So how did you know that
that
is less than or equal to?
So they're saying that the amount invested in CD.
Now, how do you know that should not exceed is less than or equal to?
Because of you said that when we say not and exceed, we should take the exceed first and know what it is.
And what
then
is
the
exceed
opposite
first?
we don't know. So exceed will be greater than.
Mm-hmm.
So the opposite will be less than or is equal to.
Perfect.
Based on what
I know you
said.
know, but I needed to be sure that your brain muscles agree with your mental gymnastics. That is why I asked you for that question.
So does it agree now?
It agrees. It agrees. Let's move on.
Okay, so then x1, because the three are the x1 plus x3 plus x4.
Okay. Anything else to do? I'm only writing. I've not said you are wrong or right.
Okay.
Anything else to do?
Well, maybe you want us to regroup them.
You want us to regroup them? Okay, so regroup them.
Okay, so then we'll start with minus x1.
Okay.
But that's the first amount to be invested. Then plus x2.
Mm-hmm. Why is it not minus x2?
Because we are bringing all to the left-hand side and x2 is already positive.
Good, continue.
So minus x1 plus x2 minus x3.
Mm-hmm.
Then minus x4.
Mm-hmm.
Then less than or equal to 0.
Why is it not greater than or equal to 0? Because we normally learn that when something changes on the other side, the symbol must swap. Why didn't you make it greater or equal to? Who can tell us? The guy is tired.
I'm lost.
Can you tell? Isaac.
Yes, Doc, I'm here.
Don't worry, you lowered your hand, so you know you are not ready. Divine.
Yes, Doc, because we didn't move the sign. The sign stayed at the same place. We only moved the other variables to the left. And
I think that's not the right way to say it. I think that's not the right way to say it. I want someone who will tell me that. Why didn't we swap the sign to greater than or equal to? Okay. I don't have a fighter. It's not that we didn't.
Doc, I'm here because I raised my hand.
Yes, Akrofi.
You only do that when you are dividing by negative.
When you are dividing by negative. Yes.
When you are doing
or in principle, when you are what? Just keep it simple. When you are swapping them. When you are taking the left-hand side to the right-hand side and the right-hand side bringing it. But this one is only the left-hand side we are bringing. It's only the right-hand side values we are bringing to the left. We are not taking the x2 to the other side. If we were taking the x2 to the other side, then the symbol will swap. Okay. So this is how you got to do the formulation, man. X2. And I like the way you did the arrangement too. You did a very good job with arrangement. And so when you're formulating this in Excel, there is a number of -1 in front of the x1. There is a +1 in front of the x2. There is a -1 in front of the x3. There is a -1 in front of the x4. And so the coefficient must be there in the formulation. We're done. Let's go to the next one. Let's see our question. Next, the next constraint is this constraint. At least 30% of the investment should be in treasury bills and certificate of deposit. Who will walk us through this formulation? Who will walk us through this? See, guys, while somebody is walking us through this formulation, you must have thought of it and written it down by yourself. It's called knowledge. It's called knowledge. You got to apply that to become wise, sagacity, wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to see what is obvious when it's a secret. Walk us through some key elements first.
So what we should be looking at is the treasury bill and the certificate of bond and what is being represented.
Okay,
So
what are they representing?
The certificate of deposit is represented by S2, and the treasury bill is represented by S3. Then we want to also look at what is the constraint over there. So it says that should be at least 30%. And that means it should be greater than or equal to 30%
because of what
the
way?
total investment. Because of the at least.
So greater than or equal to
30% of the total investment, which is 30% of 70,000. Yes.
So 30%
we'll have, yes,
of 70,000,
which is 21,000 if we
which
do
is
the calculation.
21,000. Okay.
Yes.
So what should we now do finally?
Okay, so we will do S2 plus X3 should be greater than or equal to 21,000.
Very good. Very good. Guys, would you have been able to do this formulation under the examination pressure situation? It only calls for taking things step by step. In this story, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what symbol is this at least? And if you have not learned these symbols, you will realize that you need to learn them. Then you ask yourself, what is this 30% of the investment? You know the total investment is 70. So if 30% of it is 21,000, then you should know how to calculate. The rest is knowing clearly the symbols representing the TB and CD. If you know these, happy are you if you apply them. That is how you execute this. So let's put this one down and let's go to the next diversification constraint. The next diversification constraint is known as, it's actually the most difficult one. It's not about you getting it right or wrong. It's about you understanding it. It's the most difficult one. So let's look at it. It says that to be safe, and this is safety, more. So it's like an advisor is telling Amma, more should go into the CD. What symbol is the CD? What symbol is CD? Yes, Sandra.
X2.
X2. So guys, this symbol should be on top of you whenever you're doing some of these things. Okay, so you know that this is CD, X2. What symbol is TB? What symbol is TB? I am Yvonne.
X3.
So you put it there. So it says to be safe, more should be invested in X2 and X3. What does the symbol "and" here mean? What does the symbol "and" here mean?
Plus.
Okay. Do you know that in principle, in probability terms, this is not really plus, but I mean, in this language, it is plus. Okay. All right. Who can formulate this for us? Who can formulate this for us? Now that you know X2 and X3, which means that the other one, municipal bonds will be what? X1. And then growth stock fund will be what? X4. Okay, so now I've got something. The next thing to deal with is that All ratio symbols. So what does that mean? What do you look at here in what I have underlined? Who can walk me? What do you look out for in what I have underlined? What do you try to finish first? Somebody should mute somebody who is not talking, but the hand is. So what do you look out for? Raise your hand. What do you look out for? Sarah.
At least.
At least. And what is that?
That is greater than or
Good.
equal to.
Greater than or equal to. So you now look for this one. We are talking about greater or equal to. Good. One thing is done. What else do you think about? What else do you think about? What else do you have to think about here? What else should you think about here? What again should you think about? Selassie.
The ratios.
The ratio, the word ratio. Ratio means what? Here. Ratio means what? Here. Ratio. What does it mean here? Somewhere. Ratio here. What does it mean?
So that's a fraction.
That's a
So-
fraction. Exactly. So it means that a numerator divided by a denominator. Abi?
Yes.
Good. So what is now the numerator here?
The numerator is x1, so 1.2 x1 over 1 x4 or x4. Yes.
Okay, so you say 1.2 x1 over 1 x4.
Yes.
Okay, that would be wrong. So let's go to another person. What ratio are we talking about here? And again, whoever mentions it, I'm going to ask you a question. So don't tell me something you've seen somewhere. Okay. Atomisa.
Doc, the ratio is supposed to be 1.2 of x1 plus x3.
No, it can never be that. Okay. If you say that, it means that you are copying it from somewhere. It cannot be straightforward like that.
Okay, Doc.
What is the ratio? What does the ratio speak of right now? Does it?
So this ratio is speaking of the investment that needs to be made in S2.
Jaro. When you started, I can see that you are going to confuse all of us into the word of Hebrew. The ratio here, what are we ratioing? That's my question. What are we ratioing? Let me give to another person.
Doc, I'm here. Oh,
What are we ratioing? Clementine.
So we are ratioing the x2 plus x3.
No, we are not ratioing that. What are we ratioing? What are we ratioing? I know who to call and when to call what. Okay, Elvis.
So for me, I have x2 plus x3 is
No,
2.
we are not ratioing
X.
that. We are not ratioing that. What are we ratioing first? From the sentence. This is from the sentence. Man, come on. Elizabeth.
And please, we are ratioing the certificates of deposit.
No. What is the ratio, first of all, about? Gifting. Goodness me.
We are ratioing 1.2 to 1.
Exactly. Come on. It's clear. A ratio of 1.2 over 1. A ratio of, okay, I want you to give me the ratio of 6 to, 7, or 6 and 7. If I tell I want you to give me a ratio of 6 and 7, it's 6 over 7. A ratio of this and that is that over that. So this is a ratio, 1.2 over 1. And we know that the rest are in front of it. We know that the other x's are in front of it because they were mentioned first. And we also know that the symbol greater or equal to is in between them. So now, what would the whole thing now be? You can tell me. Now we are going to take into consideration the x's because these x's are arranging this kind of ratio. So what will it be? Akufi? The first part, the numerator, what will it be?
Okay, so the numerator will be the certificate of
Use
deposit and
their x's.
okay, all right. So the S2 plus S3.
X2 plus X3, that's okay. Then what will be the denominator? Remember, the ratio has already been given on the right-hand side, so you are just mimicking this with a bishop.
X1 plus X4.
X1 plus X4, that's it. So this is the ratio. The rest is this symbol. And then
Wait,
the 1.2.
give me answer.
1.2
You
over
don't
1. So this is what we mean by the ratio here. This is how it's supposed to be. At this stage, you can now break them down, which is a whole different thing. But this is the main thing. This is a ratio under consideration. After you now understood this, you can now break it down. How do we break it down? I want a keyword. How do we break it down? Who can tell me the keyword that you use to break it down? How do we break it down, Adams?
Cross multiply.
That's the word. Excellent. Beautiful. So you cross multiply. So this whole thing are going to multiply that. Okay. And because this is at the numerator, because the 1.2 is at the numerator, that one, everything down here will rather go and meet the 1.2 up there. Because the down here is going up. And here, the down here is also going up. So the symbol doesn't change. What does it become? You can tell me. What does it become now? When you break it down, Selassie.
Equal to.
What does everything become now, Selassie?
So it becomes X1, X2 plus X3 equal to, into brackets, into bracket, 1.2.
Okay, let's stop there. Adams, what does it become? Repeat.
When I break down, I had the one multiplying S2 plus
No,
S3.
start everything. I say start.
Oh, okay.
So
I will multiply the denominator 1 by the S2 and the S3, and then the 1.2 by S1 and S4.
Oh, you have not. I'm writing. Oh. So if I were to be writing, start and walk me through the write-up.
Okay, sir. So I'm now come to do the cross multiplication.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Next person, Beverly. Beverly.
No, sir. It becomes x2 plus x3 greater than or equal to 1.2 x1 plus 1.2 x4.
Oh, okay. You've expanded it already. Okay, good. So 1.2 x1 plus 1.2 x4.
Yes.
So why did I stop that guy? Who can tell me why I stopped the guy when he started? Why did I stop him? Because he thought he was flying, but I stopped him. Why? Why did I stop the guy?
Because he changed the symbol from greater than and equals
Yeah, I don't know why he did that. And he was on the track. He changed the symbol, but he didn't even know that he's changed the symbol because for him, he was right. Okay, so now once we've done this, let's now do the rearrangement in a positive way. So who can do the complete rearrangement for us? I'm writing it. So when you raise your hand, you're going to mention it how you would have written it. Juliet.
Doc, please, I have a question. So from the last but 1 point, to be safe, more should be invested in certificates of deposits and treasury bills than in municipal bonds. So I'm thinking that why are we having greater than or equal to instead of greater than?
Because you picked it from the more, isn't it?
More should be, yes, please. More should be invested.
And what you didn't also know is that that same more was properly qualified with at least. Do you realize that the word at least also contains more in it?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So who can do the rearrangement? Gideon.
Yeah, so it's negative 1.2 x1 plus x2 plus x3 minus 1.2x4 greater than or equal to 0.
Okay, that's good. 1.2 x4. This rearrangement is so simple. Okay? If you don't know how to do that, that means you have forgotten like terms and unlike terms. So this is how it's supposed to be. So you know that the coefficient of x1 is negative 1.2. That's what you put into the Excel. The coefficient of x2 is 1. The coefficient of x3 is 1. The coefficient of x4 is negative 1.2. That's what you put into Excel. Clementine, if you don't have a question, go ahead. If you do, you can ask.
Yes, please. I'm a bit confused, or I don't know. The ratio, I was thinking the ratio 1.2 is to 1. I was thinking it should be 2.2 at the denominator.
It should be what?
2.2 at the denominator, as in adding the 2 before you have the individual.
Why?
I'm taking it from the point that when you have a ratio 1:2, 1:2, then you
but
have.
This one is not 1:2. This is 1.2 is to 1.
1.2 is to 1. So if you were to have 1.1:2, we'll have 3 at the denominator. Then
No, 1:2.
Then 2/3.
1:2, my dear, is 1/2.
It's 1/2.
Yeah. These things, you had them long ago, so you have forgotten about them.
Okay.
4:5 is 4/5.
Okay.
7:10 is 7/10.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So this ratio, this constraint is very difficult. Very, very difficult. Isaac.
Yeah, Doc. Doc, I'm a bit confused with this constraint. I was thinking that the question says that more should be invested in CD and TB than in municipal bonds and growth stock by a ratio of 1.2. So I was thinking that it's supposed to be X2 plus X3 greater than or is equal to 20% of the CD amount, the CD plus the TB amount, which is the 21. Because I was thinking that they are saying that the X2 plus the X3 is 1.2 more. And therefore, if it's 1.2 more, then it is.
But you don't know the X2 plus the X3. You don't know it.
But when we go to the one above, which is at least 30% of the investment should be.
But you see, that 30% of the investment, you see the word was of the investment. But this one, check whether he said of the investment. The word of the investment means you knew the value of the investment, which was 70,000. But here in this last constraint, there's nothing called of the investment.
Okay.
There's nothing. There's no value that says, more should be invested in certificate of deposit of the investment or treasury bills of the investment. If it has been like that, we would have calculated the value of that. But nothing has been calculated. Do you get it? You are.
So,
Gifty.
No, please, I want to be sure about something. The sign, is it the more should be that is giving us an indication of the greater than or equal to?
Okay, I think somebody asked this same question. The lady who asked the question, and I explained it, can you explain it to Gifty?
Okay, sir. So the more gives you the greater than. But then you have also at least at the end of the sentence. So that at least is what will give you the equal to sign. So it should be greater than or equal to.
The at least does not take out the more than. It still incorporates the more than. You get a point. So take note of that. If it had been at most, that is when you know it's going to be a problem here. because it doesn't capture more. All right, the last constraint. Who can tell me the last constraint? Is the easiest of all. The last one. The last one. This one is called last one. Clementine.
Non-negativity constraint.
No, that is not it. Let's go to another person. Yvonne.
Yes, Doc, the last one says Amma wants to invest the entire $70,000. That means when we take the X1, the X2, X3, and then X4, that is the entire investment. So we'll add everything and then we'll equal it to $70,000 dollars.
Why are you equaling it?
Because that is the amount, the entire amount she wants to invest.
So what
the total
symbol is
amount
making you equal? What word?
Excuse me, Doc.
What word is guiding you to choose equal to and not less than or equal to?
Because of the entire, to invest the entire
Beautiful.
money.
Beautiful. Which word would have made you choose less or equal to? Which word? At all.
Doc, at least 70,000.
Thank you. Or some of the 70,000. If Amma wanted to invest some of the 70,000, then it would be less than. Okay. Or less than or equal to. Oh, by the way, that's wrong. Did you say at least? The guy who said at least, you are wrong. If he said at least, that's wrong. And you know, what is he supposed to say?
More than.
Oh, and you know, we have worsened the matter.
Okay,
So
sir, please,
see,
the
that's why I normally
questioning.
let people think before they raise their hands again.
At most.
They're not doing try and lock for you to say, okay, because I said you're wrong. You have to think first before. Sarah.
So not above.
Hey, Sarah, no. That's good. That's good. Or simply at most. At most. Okay. Oh, sorry, if it had been yes, at most, then you would have said less or equal to. Okay. But this one says everything. Amma wants to invest everything. Everything is exactly. Yes, Isaac.
Doc, in an examination, and one ignore this last constraint, will it have any impact? Because I was thinking that the sentence Amma wants to invest the entire 70 is referring to the entire available resource for investment. Therefore,
what is the entire available resource for investment? Please use that word. And what is that entire available resource for investment that you just mentioned? What is that?
I'm referring to the 70,000, Chief.
So why are you confused about this same thing?
No, so I was thinking that when you sum up the four constraints that we have taken, the available investment should be equal to 70 and not seeing this as an additional constraint.
No. There is nothing from the above that shows that Amma is going to invest everything. What we were told is that she has $70,000. We were told that, but we were not told whether she wants to invest all of them.
Yeah, so I was thinking that this is just an information saying that you want to invest everything and therefore ensure that the available investment.
So this is what we will do. In order to prove that what you are saying, is the best thing, what we will do is when we get to the modeling, we will ignore this constraint and then you will see the result, okay? Who was that guy? I want him to confirm so that I've not checked it before, but I want to. What's the name of the guy who just asked the question?
It is Isaac.
Isaac, so when we get to the modeling, then you watch that.
Okay, Chief.
I think it will affect the results, okay?
Okay.
But maybe it will not. But we need to check in the model. So what you're saying is that constraint is redundant, isn't it?
Exactly.
Okay, we'll check.
Okay, Chief.
Right, so ladies and gentlemen, let me show you the final model, the complete model. At this stage, when you see the complete model, you don't have to worry yourself because we all know now where they all come from. Of course, the non-negativity constraint must come. Okay. This is a complete model. This last part here is a non-negativity constraint. That one, we always know that it must come. You never have to forget it. Because sometimes when you go through all of these gimmicks and you are done, you say, oh, this is too much. Man, that was a killer. And then you forget the most important one, non-negativity constraint. So we are going to model this in Excel. Okay, we're going to model this in Excel. Now I'm going to open my Excel and I'm going to go fast because see, we are interested in answering some questions and not just, So I'm going to just take this and then cut and paste it into my Excel so that we'll be looking at it from the Excel and then we'll do the modeling very quickly. So let me open my Excel. Please let me know when you can see the Excel. Let me know. So this is the model. Can you see the Excel?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. So those of you who are very good at the modeling, work along with me. You will not get this modeling in an exam, but you'll get it in, you can get it in or in an assignment where you have to do the Excel modeling yourself and submit it. So take note. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look at AMA Benuado. So I just want to call it AMA. And then we have the names of the variable. We have municipal bonds. I'm doing it right with you so fast. Okay, certificate of deposit, treasury bills, okay, and gross stock funds. And then we had the coefficients. These coefficients are the interest rates. So let me just call it interest rate. Then the interest rate we have, as you can see on the right-hand side here, I'm just picking it from there. So you have 0.085. Then you have 0.05. And then you have 0.065. And then you have 0.13. So these were the coefficients. Then the other bit was the amount invested, which is a decision variable. I'm going to call it decision variable. We initialize the value to 0, to 0, to 0, to 0, because we don't know the values for now. And then on the far right here is our Z value, which we'd have called return, total return, TR. Yes, Sally. Yes, Sally, your hand was up. Okay. So total return is a formula. Look at it here. It's a formula. Z is a formula. Okay. So I'm going to do equal to, then I'm going to take the municipal bonds. Okay. I'll multiply it by the decision variables. Okay. So I'll bring times, then take the decision variable. Then you press the FN key F4 to bring the dollar symbol. Then plus, take the next one, 0.5, bring the times. Okay. Select the 0, press the FN F4 key. Then plus, okay. Take the next one, bring the times, press the 0, then FN F4 key. Then plus the last one, okay, bring the times, press the 0, then FN F4 key. You enter. Okay. And when you enter, you see all of these things. There is the formula. When you double click the formula, you see the formula all correlated. I know you know the essence of it. Let's go to the constraint. The first constraint says the value, look at them here, is x1. So under the MB alone, we put in value 1. Everything else is not there. Okay. Then the next one. The next one is, this thing was not changed well, so we have to change it. So the first one is -1. Okay, before the 1, put it under 1. Before the 3, which is also -1. before the 4, which is also -1. I'm picking it from the formula here. I'm picking it from the formula here. Okay. And the next one is x2 and x3. So I go to this one. X2 is what? 1. X3 is 1. Okay. There's 1 in front of them. Then the last, that one, you get -1.2. So you do -1.2. The next one is 1. The next one is 1. The next one is -1.2 again. Okay. And then finally, this is a constraint I said we'll omit it later. So finally, you have 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. So let's go to the next thing. These are all the left-hand side. Left-hand side. And then you have the symbol, Claudia. Symbol is sign. And then the right-hand side, RHS. The sign. What was the sign for the first one? Is less than or equal to. So let's put it there. Less than or equal to. I'm just making a hypothetical sign. Those of you have raised your hand, ask your question. Adam.
Doc, please, for the second constraint, I wanted to know where the 2 came from.
Yes, sir.
Where
You
the
have
what?
used 2.
You put
The
2.
coefficient is 1,
Yeah.
but you
It's
used
1, it's 1, it's 1.
Okay, thank
And
you.
sir, my another question is, using the S direct and then using the name, the treasure bill and treasure bond, does it have effect on the SL?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this one, equal to symbol will be seen as a formula. So I'm just bringing a dot before I write the equal to. Okay, let's take the right-hand side. The first one is 14,000. Okay. The next one is 0. The next one is 0. The next one is, 21,000. Then followed by 0. Then followed by 70,000. And that's it. We are done. Okay. Now, we need, I made a mistake. Let's move. Let's take this one to this side so that we'll take the formula here. The left-hand side is rather supposed to be here. Clementine, ask the question.
So I think we wrote 700,000.
Sorry?
700,000 instead of 70,000.
Okay. And the left-hand side, you just take this formula here because we've applied the dollar symbol. Paste it here, you drag it all the way to here. Okay. And this formula are going to change. Okay. Everything here is going to change. And then, of course, everything here is also going to change. Once done, go to your data tab at the top, click on data. Okay. And then, after clicking on data, look on the far right. You click on the data solver. And then in the solver, you select the objective. And in this case, the objective is this 0. So you slot in there. The next one is the decision variable. This is a maximization. So click on the by changing cells and drag all the decision variables into it. Boom. You click on the first constraint. Remember, the first constraint is less than. So you click on add. And when you click on the add, the left-hand side, choose only these first 2. And select the less than symbol. Go to the right-hand side, choose the first 2. You are done. Click add. Go to the next one. The next one is this 2. Both of them are greater than. So you change the symbol here to greater than. On the right there, the first is 21,000. The second is 0. Put them on the right-hand side. Click add. Go to the last one. The last one is equal to. The left-hand side is 0. Okay. Equal to. So change the symbol to equal to. The right-hand side is 70,000. So like that. You don't click add again because we're done. Then click OK. Boom. All of them are populated here. Make unconstrained variables non-negative. That's a non-negativity constraint. Choose the simplest algorithm, which is this one. Done. Hallelujah. Amen. Once you're done, you click solve and watch something that's going to happen. The numbers are going to change in the yellow section. Solve. Boom. If there's a mistake, you will always know. Okay. I think there's a mistake. He said objective values do not converge. Okay, so it's possible that there have been some, restore original values, there have been some mistake. So let's see. So it comes from here. Okay. Comes from here. It was picking these values. So what it's supposed to mean is that you're supposed to take these values and just insert. The values at the top here was rather picking insert. Okay. These values are supposed to rather go up, and then the decision variables come down. Let's see whether that works. Okay, let's see this. Oh, which one was I picking? Okay, so the problem comes from there anyway. Let me undo it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. It was picking cell 3. So you see it's B4. Picking 3 is supposed to be B2. Supposed to be B2. I mean, your ability to recognize this are key. C2, sort of 4. Yes, someone asked a question.
Yeah, Doc, it's actually a contribution. I think it's supposed to be picking B5 instead, because it's already picking the decision variable, but it's not picking the coefficient for the constraint.
Okay, let me see this.
No, for the Z function, I think that should be fine. Doc,
Let me see this first one. Yeah.
Because the constant value is supposed to be row 3.
Let me just pick it from here. It's done it, but I just need to confirm by the other side. Yeah, it's now fine. Everything is now fine. All of them are picking the zeros, so that's fine. You double click, you check. You double click, you check. You double click, you check. Somewhere your hand is still up. Double click, you check. All right.
Yeah, Doc. So I think you see the previous ones we did.
Are you correcting something, or you are showing why there was a mistake?
Yes, please.
There's no need to show why there was a mistake.
Okay.
Once we have corrected it, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you go to the model, you click solve. See, my interest is not this thing. My interest is the what do you call it? My interest is in the, what do you call it? 1, 2, 3, 4. My interest is in the interpretation of the results. Okay, so these ones are not picking the right ones. These ones, they are not picking the right ones. Okay. Let me just go back and just copy this, and then we do the next. Yes, the one whose hand is up. I mean, you can do it manually, or
So I think the Z from the formula is supposed rather to be in the Z here. Well,
from the what?
Column from the F2. I was thinking the formula is supposed to be in the F2 cell.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Let's check. Yep. Oops. This is
Please click escape.
yeah. Don't worry. There's dollar in front.
Yeah.
Escape. Just recopy the formula.
All right, it's fine now. I mean, you can do all of this by yourself at home. I mean, it's good when you're encountering this because it helps you to No, what are you doing proper? So let's run it again. And now everything is perfect. Okay, so let's look at the sensitivity result. This is a sensitivity. A new sheet is created here. And this is where we are going to ask all our questions. So please take your pen and paper. We're going to ask all the questions here. Okay, first question. We have generated the results. That's the results. And then we are going to just answer some questions with it. And I ask you the question, you answer me. Adams, what's the question? Question number 1, write it down.
My question, I'm asking a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So, in case you are selecting the cell reference and you repeat it and it's selected, does it have effect on the final result?
Yes, it will. So you just go over what I've gone through again by yourself when you're seated. That will help you to fully get everything, okay?
Yes, sir. I have, but I want to know whether if it is.
And that's what I've told you, it will affect. And again, until you do it, you will not even understand what I just said. So you got to do it, unless you were doing it alongside. Question number 1, what is the optimal solution to this investment problem? That's the first question. So in an exam situation, what I would do is I'll give you something like this, something I formulated like this. Then I will ask you these questions that I'm about to ask you. The first question is, what is the optimal solution to this investment problem? Remember, the way you answer it is more important than just knowing the answer. What is the optimal solution to this investment problem? Now, I want straight answer. Okay, I don't want you to tell me that, oh, you got to go pick it in the final value of the blah, blah. No, tell me, how would you answer this? It's very important. Hubert.
So Amma wouldn't have to invest in the two.
No,
in the first
deal
two.
with what Amma has to do, not what Amma should not do.
Amma should invest in the last two TB, 38,000.
That's what you would have written in last two.
Amma needs to invest in $38,181 in TB and $31,818 in GS.
Good. So that's how it's supposed to be. That's how you got to say it. Okay, as to whether Amma should not put anything into MB and CD, leave that. Because that is obvious from the storyline. So this is how you got to answer this. Who is not clear with this? Who is not clear with this first question? This is an easy one. Normally, the next question that follows this always is, what is a corresponding? Yes, Gifty.
Doc, please, I want to know. So, in answering, can you just approximate the amount? So that's like 38,000.
No, don't approximate the amount. The question will always tell you should always use 2 decimal places. Always use 2 decimal places. Next question, write it down. Find the corresponding maximum investment return. Find the corresponding maximum investment return. Who can show me how to work that? Find the corresponding maximum investment return. Akofi.
Because I lowered my hand and I wanted to ask a question, but it looks like we have moved on. My network went off and I didn't get the answer for the question 1.
So you got it now?
No.
You don't know the answer for the question 1?
Yes, please. So,
the question was, what is the optimal solution to this investment problem? If you didn't write, all of you write it down. And the answer is to find the final value of the variable cells. And the answer is to invest. Amma has to invest $38,182.81 into the treasury bills, and 31,808.18 with 18 cents into the gross stock fund. That's it. You don't have to indicate how much you now invest in municipal bonds or treasury, because that is not the key. You're only talking about what Amma should do. The second question is, what is the corresponding maximum investment return? That question is asking you about the Z value. That's what it's asking you. It's asking you to tell him what the Z value is. And how do you get that? The word corresponding means I got to multiply something by something and add something by something. How do you do it? Zakia.
Sir, please, you multiply the final value by the objective coefficient.
Do it. Do it. Next person. Next person. Adams. Adams.
Yes, sir. So you multiply the coefficient by the maximum value that you had. Then you add them.
It's okay. You're telling me that what a girl said, and I said she should do it actually. You're coming to repeat the same thing for us. I see that you're doing something. Don't worry. You see, now you have the chance to open your hand again. So you have to interrupt me because you can unmute yourself. Okay, no, I have to call you before. Okay. All right. So what you guys have to do is to just take the 38,000 number, multiply it by the 0.06 plus the 31,000, multiply it by the 0.13 here. So those values are what you're supposed to do. So you're taking these two values. Okay. Then you multiply them by the corresponding final values. And then you add them. You are supposed to add them. If you take them one by one and you don't add them, you are wrong. So you're supposed to add them. That's the next part of the question. Please note, you're supposed to get 25 over 25 in this question. Next question. Unless you have a question. Next question. Was the entire amount of money actually invested? You can tell us. Was the entire amount of money actually invested? Of course, why? Was the entire amount of money actually invested? Eric does it. Eric.
Yeah, hi, Doc.
Go ahead.
The answer is no. Oh, sorry for that.
It's okay. You were not prepared, first of all, so you shouldn't have raised your hand in the first place.
Sorry, Doc,
It's okay. I said it's okay. Don't interrupt me when I mute you, okay? Because if you were fully prepared, you wouldn't have first delayed. Ophelia.
Yes, the entire amount was invested. If you add the final value for TB together to the final value of the GS, it will give you the 70,000 TD.
Excellent. That is one way of answering. So what she's saying is that if you take these two numbers, okay, and add them, these two red numbers, add them, you will get exactly 70,000. That is one way of concluding your point. What is another way? That's one way. Selena.
Sir, please, the allowable increase is 70,000.
What allowable increase? Allowable increase from where to where? Which country? Which where? You have not spoken. So there are several allowable increases in this Excel. So to just say that the allowable increase is blah, 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 you have not spoken. So go back and think about it before you come, okay? Just think about it and then raise your hand. What is another way to have concluded with this question? To indicate that Ama Benuado invested the entire amount that she had. Was the entire amount actually invested? Well, the answer is yes, because you look at the left-hand side of the total investment here. Okay. This side. The left-hand side of that constraint is equal to the right-hand side of that constraint. And if you can remember, that constraint was a constraint that shows that Ama invested the entire 70,000. So if you go to the usage, which is actual one, and then the right-hand side, which is available, that if they are equal, it means that what was anticipated was realized. what was anticipated was realized. That is another way to conclude that the entire thing was fully invested. Next question. Document it, write them down, write them down. Now, what is the sensitivity range for municipal bonds? What is the sensitivity range for municipal bonds? Eric. By the way,
I
this is.
actually had a question on the previous one.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to check whether the reduced cost value, right, could also be an indicator that the entire amount was invested.
No, no, no. We can't use that.
You can't use that.
No. Okay. So let's go back to my question now. What is the sensitivity range for municipal bonds? Guys, you should learn how to calculate the sensitivity range for every final value, whether it's of the variable cells or the constraint. You should learn how to calculate every sensitivity range. Put it down. Learn how to compute every sensitivity range. Put it down. Learn how to calculate every sensitivity range. Okay. So who can tell me the sensitivity range for municipal bond? By the way, that is this column, this row here. How do you compute that? Okay, so this is how you do it. Okay. First thing you do, let me just move to this side. You do the coefficient, which is 0.8. Okay. So you do this coefficient, which is 0.085. And then you will subtract the allowable decrease from it. And the allowable decrease is here. Okay. That's the first part. And that will give you negative infinity. By the way, this value is called negative infinity. Then you bring your sensitivity range symbol, in this case for municipal bonds. And then on the next side, you calculate, let me just center this. You calculate the upper bound. The upper bound is the same value here, plus the allowable increase. And this is it. Okay, so that's 13%. Now, anytime you calculate the sensitivity range, listen carefully, and you have a negative value, listen, a negative value, you have to approximate it to 0. Note that down. You have to approximate it to 0. Why? Because of the principle of non-negativity constraint. Because of the principle of non-negativity constraint. So you got to approximate it to 0. But I want you to know that this is how the thing will look like. But if we have to rewrite it, it's going to be this time 0 on the left-hand side, less than or equal to, then 0. Okay. So it would have been something like this, 0. Then you have less than or equal to, then you have the sensitivity range. Then this second one, I know this is going to change this thing because it's a formula. This is a formula, so obviously you will not get the value. So you just have to write the pen again for some time. So this is how it's supposed to be in reality. So the sensitivity range for municipal bonds, write it down, is 0 to 13%. It is between, remember, we are talking, this value of the 0.85, blah, 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 this value is the interest rate. This value actually refers to the interest rate, which is 8.5%. So what does that mean? What does that mean? It means that currently the interest rate is 8.5%, which is not good enough for AMA to invest in municipal bonds. That is why I'm putting nothing into municipal bond. Zero. Zero. Because the interest rate was not gingerly, was not attractive enough for AMA to put in investment there. Now, the sensitivity range tells you that this interest rate can go up all the way to 13% and can go down all the way to 0. As long as the interest rate of 8.5, listen carefully, as long as the interest rate of 8.5 is dancing, guys, you're going to understand these things. It's beautiful, it's enjoyable, it's mwah. As long as the interest rate is dancing between these two, oh, it's beautiful. If the interest rate is dancing between the 0 and 13%, then the optimal solution of these two, 38,000 and 31,000, will never change. As long as it's dancing between 0 and 13%, it will not change. But again, let's not forget that it will still not make AMA to invest. It will still not make AMA to invest in municipal bonds. No. So who can tell me what should the interest rate be to motivate AMA to invest? Who can tell me? What should be the minimum interest rate to motivate AMA to invest? Who can tell me? What should be the minimum interest rate that would ginger AMA to say, okay, now I'm going to invest in municipal bonds? Eric.
Should be greater than 13%.
What should be the minimum?
13.1.
13.1. Yo, thank you. Thank you. And that is kind of true. Okay. Anything above 13, okay, it will ginger AMA. And again, we did this last time. So you can go and change it. You can go to the model here. Okay. And then if you go to the sheet here, you can change this value of 13. Oh, sorry. You can go here, this 8.5%. You can just move it to maybe 13.1%. Okay. So you move it to that point. Let me do it. Okay. Let me do it. Let's change it to point 13.1%. Let's see. And then let's run the model again. Let's go and then go to our data. It will give us another sensitivity range, which is, oops. To give us another sensitivity range, which is known as sensitivity range 2. Let's run that. Okay. And there you go. You can see that sensitivity range 2, now she's willing to invest in municipal bonds. 14,000 will go into municipal bonds, simply because the interest rate went up by just 0.1%. Yeah. And that has motivated her to now want to invest in that. That's beautiful. That is beautiful, I'm telling you that.
Sir, please, I have a question.
Yeah.
So with this one, how do you answer it? Do we say anything above 13%, or we give the answer the guy gave, that's 13.1%?
Sorry, ask the question again.
I'm asking that with the question you asked, that what should be the minimum interest rate? I'm asking how we should answer the question. Should we just write that anything above 13%?
Just say anything above 13% and give an example like 13.1 or 14 or 15, anything.
Yes, please. Thank you.
But watch it. If the person should ask you that, what should be the minimum that would ginger, and there's usually a question like that, that would ginger AMA to invest, then you have to write the upper bound of the sensitivity range. And let's go back here. Okay. I know your guy mentioned 13.1, but just write the 13%. Just write 13%. What should be the minimum? Because when you add, that is the true value of the reduced cost. See, the reason why the reduced cost is negative is because you are not supposed to invest in municipal bonds. Write it down. That's why it's negative. Because if you go and put anything in there, you will suffer. you get a negative marginal returns. So what should be the minimum? The minimum should be this. This is how you calculate the minimum. The minimum should be the objective function, okay, minus that minus this value, that minus 0.045. Okay, so the objective function minus that, okay, and that will give you 13%. So it means that the minimum that would ginger AMA to produce or to invest here is 13%. I don't want to, and again, there's always a gap. That is why this symbol is not usually the best. In fact, usually the sensitivity range should be in between the two numbers, excluding the two numbers. You see, what I've written here makes it look like it is including the two numbers, but ideally, it's supposed to be excluding the two numbers. Now, I can just confirm this. Let's just go to this and just change the value, not to 13.1, but just to 13. Okay. Let's confirm this once and for all. Okay. So this time I'm changing it to 13 so that we'll know that that is the minimum that will ginger AMA to invest. I hope you guys know what I'm doing. So I'm going to create another sensitivity range. I'll call it sensitivity range 3. Okay. Okay, so this is range 3. Let's see. I think that should be the situation. Yeah, you see, the value is still giving you what? 14,000. My dear, do you get an answer to your question?
Yes, please, I understand.
So the
now.
minimum
Please,
should
can I
be,
get?
listen, so the minimum should be the upper bound of the sensitivity range. Write it down. The minimum that AMA has to invest in municipal bonds, or the minimum interest rate that will motivate AMA to invest in municipal bonds, is the upper bound of the sensitivity range. When you go to the original sensitivity range, the upper bound is this. Watch it, it's up here. That's the upper bound, 13%. So as long as it's 13%, so please note that this symbol from now on, make it less than, instead of less than or equal to. It makes it easier. If you don't understand this part alone, let me know. Raise your hand, I will explain it further. Okay.
Sir, please, you said we should make it not less than or equal to, but we should make it less than.
I said make it less than. All of them less than. Okay. Instead of less or equal to. Yes, Gifty.
Sir, please, I don't understand that part alone.
Which part? You have to be specific.
How come we arrived at we having the changing it to less than, and then the impact it has had on the.
Okay. The reason why it's supposed to be less than is because when the value of the coefficient, say 8.5 here, when the value is between the sensitivity range, excluding the lower and upper bound. When I say it's between, when I say you are between 4 and 5, I have to be specific whether you are between 4 and 5, which means you can be 2 or you can be 4 or you can be 5. Suppose I say that I think this lady is between 30 and 40 years. If you say that, it means that the lady can be 32. She can also be 40. So if you want to be specific, you say that the lady is between 30 and 40, exclusive. Exclusive here means that she can't be 30. She can't be 40. She's in between. She's in between. But if you don't say exclusive and you just say between, it makes it look like 30 can be part, 40 can be part. So what I'm saying is that the sensitivity range must always be, exclusive. Exclusive here means that don't include the lower value, the lowest value, and then the highest value as part of the sensitivity range, but include it as the bound. And when I say as part of the sensitivity range, what I mean is that this 8.5% can be between 0 and 13, but it must not be 0 or 13. Do you get it? The lady who has it.
Yes,
okay.
I
All right. Next question. It can be between 0 and 13. You can say it should be above 0 and below 13. You know, whichever one it is, but it shouldn't include it. Okay.
Doc, if that is the case, then shouldn't the sign be greater than 0 and less than 13?
Master, that is the same thing here. This sign is a range. So what you are saying is not different from, if it says greater than 0, less than 30, it's the same thing I've written, because I have made 0 is less than the number. Watch what I've written. If I were to do normal writing, it would be 0 is less than.
Oh, got it. Got it.
So 0
We cannot get it.
less than, let me write it here for you to see. The 0 is less than 8.5%, which is also less than, okay, 13%. This is all I'm trying to write it. Guys, check whether you understand this or not. This is what we are writing. Remember, I've just made the decimal point so that it can be nicely written.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please, the question was, what should be the minimum interest rate for AMA to invest in the municipal
Okay, that
bond?
wasn't really the
And
question.
when you do,
that wasn't really the question, but I brought that question. So if you want us to put that question down, put it down. What will be the minimum interest rate that will motivate AMA to now invest in municipal bonds? The minimum interest rate should be the upper bound of the sensitivity range, which means in this case, the minimum interest rate should be 13%.
yes, and my question is concerning that the range, the sensitivity range is that the end says that it should be greater than 13.
What?
So if you are saying 13%,
which end product?
Yes, we want the minimum interest rate. Hello, sir, please can you hear me?
Open your mouth well and talk. What are you saying?
All right. We want the minimum interest rate for AMA to invest in the municipal bond.
What is the interest rate? Let me ask you, what is the interest rate currently?
Currently, it's 8.5%.
Percentage, so that you are free.
Okay, the percentage is for AMA to invest in the municipal bond. The question you asked.
5%.
It's 8.5%. But we created a question that what should be the minimum interest rate for AMA to invest in the municipal bond? So with that, we have to do the sensitivity range.
To do the sensitivity, you can use several means to get that answer. You can use the sensitivity to do it. You find the sensitivity range for municipal bonds. Then you say that the minimum interest rate should be the upper bound, in which case it will be 13. Another way of
confused because
sorry?
I'm confused because it says greater than 30 there.
Who says greater? What is the greater than sign?
Yeah, I mean less than 30.
Who says greater? I want to see.
Okay, I understand it now.
You're confusing everybody because you don't know the difference
between. Sorry. I've seen it. Thank you so much.
So the next question is, which diversification mix will yield the most return? So look at the bottom here. Which diversification? There are 5 different diversification. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which of them will give you the most return? You can say F9, F8, F7, F6, F5. Which one will give you the most return? Who can tell me? Which diversification mix will give you the most return? It's very simple. You use the shadow price to answer that question. Hubert.
F9.
Correct. Why?
Because it has the highest shadow price.
Good. That's a point. Not because the shadow price is positive. Oh, sorry, not because the shadow price is non-negative. Okay, that's because it has the highest shadow price. All right. So that is the key thing there. Now that question is fairly simple, but further questions on that will give you something. Which constraints are binding, by the way? Which constraints are binding? You can say F5, F6, F7, F8, F9. Which constraints are binding here? Isaac.
It's F9 because the usage is equal to available.
Good. That is one. Which other one? Which other one? Adams.
So there's no slacks.
Oh, I said, which other constraint before you give me the reason? Gideon.
The F8.
Why?
Because the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, which is 0 is 0.
Good. Or because it has a non-zero shadow price. It has a non-zero shadow price. I'm going to give you guys an assignment. Go and find out what is the implication of the two shadow prices, one being negative, one being positive. Go and find out. It's very, very powerful thing here. Find out. You write it down. Go. Okay. Next one.
Please, what was the previous question?
Which constraints are binding? That was a question.
Okay, thank you.
Now let me give you one question here. If AMA had a choice of investing in municipal bonds or certificate of deposit, write it down. Actually, you have it in the slides too. If AMA had a choice of MB or CD, which one should she choose? If AMA had a choice of MB or CD, which one should she choose? You can tell me. Which one should, this is called knowledge of jabal understanding. If AMA had a choice of MB or CD, which one should she choose? Hubert. And guys, listen as he answers.
I think you should choose CD.
CD. Okay. Hubert. Don't even try to justify. Isaac.
AMA should not choose any of them.
Excellent answer. Why?
Because they are producing opportunity cost.
Exactly. Because none of them had a positive final value. You can see it here. M, B, and CD, none of them had a positive final value. So how would you want to invest in them? None of them. So that's the best answer to go for. All right. Now let's go to the next question. Yes, Hubert.
No, yeah, can you please repeat the question, that particular question?
When I'm telling you guys the question, you don't normally like to write it until I've given you an answer. Then you now remember yourself, and you wish you had written down the question. So whenever I'm talking and I say write it down, don't wait for me to finish. I said if AMA had a choice of choosing MB or CD, which would she go for? If AMA had a choice of investing in MB or CD, which one do you advise she should go for? And the answer is that she can't go for any of them.
Hello, sir.
Raise your hand. Yes, that's me.
Yeah, I want to make a clarification. The previous question was which constraints are binding, and the answer was F8. So if we are asked, should we just write F8 as the answer?
It was not F8, it was F9 and F8.
F9 and F8.
Maybe
should we just write it just like that?
Sorry?
Should we just write the answer just like that? F8 and F9.
Yes, because names were not given to you.
Okay. Can we include the dollar signs as well?
Oh, no, you don't need to.
Thank you.
But remember, when a question is actually going to be asked of you like that, the examiner will give you names of the constraint, not just F8, but, the examiner will give you proper names. Maybe let's call this, diversification makes 1, diversification makes 2, diversification makes 3. You understand? So you will not get exactly as it is. For now, that was a name I could pick. So in reality, you get an actual name for it. So don't worry. You're so much concerned about exams and how to write it. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is deep. And normally these questions are more marks than the previous ones. If you look at it, nothing was invested in 2 of the assets, municipal bonds and then certificate of deposit. And now we come back to the same question. How much would return for the product have to be for it to be invested in? Who can tell me? Those who have been listening to me all this while should be able to tell me. How much would return have to be for somebody to invest in MB or CD? For somebody to invest in MB and to invest in CD, how much would the return have to be for the person to be willing to do that? Clementine.
It shouldn't be less than 13%.
I say what it should be. Is it okay? Then you are telling what it should not be. How much would it? Yes, Eric.
13% and above, or 6.5% and above for MB and CD respectively.
Okay. So the return will have to be 30% or more, or 6.5% or more. That's how you gotta answer this. Okay. All right. Next question. Note it down. Note it down. Now my last question to you guys. My last question to you guys. My last question is, if the diversification makes 1, of 14,000, it had an available investment of 14,000. If Amma had to increase that diversification mix of 14,000 to 15,000, or you would have to increase diversification mix 4. Okay. So I'm highlighting those that I'm talking about. Diversification mix 1 from 14,000 to 15,000, and diversification mix 4. Okay. Diversification mix 4 by $10. Now let me repeat. If Amma had to raise the diversification mix 4 by 1,000, from 14,000 to 15,000, and diversification mix 4 by 1,000, which one should she go for? Which one should she go for? It's my last question for today. Which one should she go for? Who can tell us? Which one should she go for? Diversification makes 1 and diversification makes 4. 1 from 14,000 to 15,000 and diversification is 4 by 1,000. Which one should she go for? Clementine.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't raise my hand. Sorry.
Isaac.
Okay, Doc. When Amma increased from 14 to 15,000.
Answer first before you explain.
That is 1.
Diversification makes 1, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
I'll come for your explanation. Eric.
Well, none of the 2.
None of the 2 is the right answer. Explain to them.
Because the shadow price for diversification, I would say 5 is 0, and that of 8 is negative. Sorry?
Diversification makes 1 and 4. They are the ones I'm talking about.
1 and 4. So one is indicating a shadow price of 0, which means that by increasing the constraint, we don't get anything. And then 4 is showing a shadow price of -2, which means that by increasing the investment, we are losing. Yeah. Exactly.
That's the point. So I thought that somebody is going to even choose the one that is 0, since the other one is going to give you negative. But still, why would you want to increase something? Why would you eat your money if you have to increase that money in a bank when that money is going to give you nothing? If the money is going to give you nothing, why would you want to put it in, increase that? And the other one too, why would you even want to increase it if it's going to give you a negative returns? So none of them is good. And that's a good way. These are the tricky part of the questions you got to understand. This is the defining moment of knowledge and intelligence. The same way as imbecility does not connote taciturnity, is the same way as intelligence does not connote sagacity. I write it down. If you don't write it down, you forget again. And next week I'll use it to remind you. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the entire what an evening. What an evening. Please. I don't expect you all to fully understand what we've done, but I also expect you to go and watch the videos again. You will get the entire meat of it. Then when we meet next time, we will now start with integer programming problem. Now, there is another one which is on the advertisement, TV, radio, newspaper. Okay, I will encourage you to go and watch it. Watch it on the channel. Watch it, discuss it with yourself, listen to it in the car, and you will crack everything.